My name is Alena Shautsova. I'm an immigration attorney from New York, and today we're going to have our live presentation and live questions and answers regarding the most recent immigration news, issues that we have with immigration, and I'm going to share with you some of my tips that I picked up during the past couple of years, how to deal with immigration during the time of COVID, and I'm going to talk about certain issues that I see many people, immigrants in the United States, are experiencing, for example, with employment authorizations or with old cases. And I'm going to share just some of my experience with you for free. So please join me, ask your questions, prepare your questions, start sharing this live so other people will be able to participate and join as well. Please comment saying how you're doing, where you're watching from. Say hello, and we're going to start. We do not have news about the immigration reform. I know you're disappointed, but I will share with you some tips about what to do if you have a stuck case, if you have a stuck employment authorization that you're waiting for and cannot get. And of course, I'm going to give you some updates about what's going on in general, right? So thank you very much for joining me. As I said, say hi, don't forget. And let's start. Well, first of all, I'm going to give you good news for those of you who are conditional residents, whether you received your conditional residency based on marriage, through a parent who got married, or perhaps through an investment. The good news is that your status is going to be now extended for 2 years or 24 months from the time you are submitting petition, at the time rather, when you're submitting petition to remove the condition on your status, but the time starts counting from the expiration of your current status. So it's very important. For 24 months, you will use that official notice that you're going to receive from USCIS as proof of your current valid status as a green card holder. It will allow you to travel and come back, which is very important, as a proof of employment authorization in the United States. And what are you going to do if, for example, your case is still pending beyond those 24 months, right? What are you going to do? Well, here is my tip. You're going to call USCIS and you're going to make an appointment with them to place a stamp in your passport that will confirm that you are still a green card holder and you are in the process of removing the condition. And that stamp will serve as proof of your employment eligibility and will help you to come back to the United States if you're going to travel. Very, very important. By the way, for those of you, and I hope nobody at this point is in this situation, but for those of you who got stuck overseas and you have conditional resident status that is expiring, you can, for example, through an attorney, file the petition to remove your condition. As soon as you get the receipt that your case is pending, that receipt can be transferred to you overseas, and you can use it as proof of valid status to come back to the United States. All right. That was an old tip, by the way, I shared so many times. So I hope all of you who are watching these videos of mine got it and used it for free to come back to the United States. Very, very important. So that's actually good news. I wish we also received some automatic extensions for other things, other filings, for example, employment authorizations. You know that if you're filing for an extension of employment authorization in certain categories, for certain categories, not for every category, you're going to have an automatic extension of your work permit for 180 days, right? 180 days. And you can file your work permit sufficiently in advance, several months in advance, also like 6 months in advance before its expiration date. So the idea is that by the time the document is processed, you will for sure receive a new one. That's the idea. However, during the COVID time, it doesn't work. And even though some people filed their extension requests sufficiently in advance. They're still waiting and waiting and waiting. I've heard that a lot of C8s, or those of you who filed for work permits based on pending asylum cases, are waiting for an extension of your work permit for a very long time, like a new work permit for a very long time. So what do you do if your automatic extension is about to expire and you still do not have your new work permit? What do you do? Well, there is something you can do. You can write a request to expedite the processing of your work permit with USCIS, but it has to have documents attached to it. Documents showing hardship, that you're about to lose your job, that you have bills to pay, like rent, utilities, maybe some tuition for your children, something like that, or tuition for yourself. And you have to explain how prospect of losing your employment will affect you, right? And you know what? It works. It does work. You can receive your work permit faster. Just so, and it works, by the way, not only for C8, it works for other categories as well. C9, for example, as well. C9 is when you have adjustment or green card application pending, right? So it works. So now you know what you can do. An attorney can do it for you, or you can do it for yourself. You can do it as well. Don't have to hire a lawyer if you do not want to. Also, I wanted to talk a little bit about the immigration reform. Even though I don't have specific news, there is something going on and we do not like it. What's going on is a border crisis that is being again exaggerated by the media, and perhaps you know, it's I hope it's not as bad as they say, but in any event, it should not have such a conclusion that all the basically media reports are coming to, that immigration reform for people who are already in the United States will somehow make this border situation even worse. Because what happens, from my understanding of all the resources I'm reading, is that people believe that because in the United States we're discussing immigration reform, it encourages people from outside of the United States to come here, even though every single immigration reform proposal says that it's not going to cover people who are a recent newcomers. It's going to cover only people who were already in the United States. But several weeks ago, I already talked about it, that this particular point of the border crisis is going to be the main obstacle on the way of our immigration reform. And from what I see in the media, like New York Times, for example, I just read today a couple of the articles. This is the main issue now. They're using the issue at the border to basically justify the objections to immigration reform. And I frankly do not know how bad it's going to be, but what I see, I do not like, because it seems that every single newspaper in the United States started to talk about this, basically coming us and returning us to that Stone Age. And frankly speaking, there was always a crisis, if you call it like that, at the United States immigration border. But now, specifically, they're using the situation in Afghanistan. As I said, they will be using it together with the border situation to justify the objections as to why people who resided in the United States and haven't crossed the border in like 20 years should not receive status. This, of course, is very worrisome, and I know that many advocacy groups advocating the opposite, but you people who are watching it, if you have ability to contact your senators and elected officials, you should share your point of view on that. And by the way, Democrats were trying to do something about it preemptively by allocating as much money as they are allocating for immigration reform towards security of the border. So they're trying, and we're hoping. And as you know, next week, middle of September, we will know what's going to happen with immigration reform. In the middle of the next week, there is the soft deadline for for the Judicial Committee to come up with the text of the immigration reform law. So we're going to see what's going to happen and how they're going to address it. But of course, this increased pressure, perhaps one of my main points is that this increased pressure and negativity towards immigration reform and border crisis, you should take into consideration the timing of it. It's right before when we have basically, we're waiting for the decision for the Judicial Committee as to who is going to benefit from it, right? Who's specifically going to benefit from it. That's something to keep in mind. I wouldn't get discouraged by it, but as I said, if you can do something positive about this, like contact your elected official, you absolutely should do that, right? Do not back off just because they're saying that it's all bad. It's not all that bad. And besides, US Supreme Court kind of helped the opposing side restoring when they basically restored and confirmed the restoration of the Remain in Mexico policy, right? And I just read, by the way, that Biden administration is trying to work on more humane Remain in Mexico policy, that basically like a perfected plan of it that may appeal to the Republicans. If anything is appealing to them, I don't know. So now, guys, if you have some of your questions, I spoke for too long, I will be happy to answer them. Let me see. Is the asylum office being reformed? Great question. Not to my knowledge. I do know that they are scheduling asylum interviews. It's very, very important, guys. So you have to watch out and you have to prepare. If you've been waiting for a long time for your asylum interview, now would be the time to prepare, especially if your case has been filed in 2015, 16, and beginning of 2017. But I know that they would like to allocate more money towards asylum process. There is some asylum process that is going to be reformed at the borders. There was a notice issued by Department of Homeland Security saying that they're going to allow asylum officers to hear claims of people who have been through credible fear interviews. So the process will be reformed a little bit for people who are arriving at the border. They're trying to streamline it, basically taking, basically unloading immigration courts, because previously only immigration judge would be able to hear such a claim. Now they're trying to change it, giving asylum officers opportunity to do that. How long it takes PD to be processed by ICE? That's an excellent question. If you're referring to prosecutorial discretion, I'm going to tell you that I believe they stated that they need at least 60 days for that. But in my cases, what I've been seeing recently, if you have a positive decision, it's probably going to come within 30 days, right? And by the way, right now is the time to request, to submit those requests, prosecutorial discretions, because the way things are going, we never know. There may be even higher court that will say that, you know what, it all has to stop for now because we had a scare in the end of August. Thankfully, the court, one of the higher federal courts enjoyed the lower federal court decisions saying that prosecutorial discretion is unlawful, and now we still can request it, and by the way, they do get granted. But I would say if it's a positive decision, probably within 30 days. But again, it depends on the office. You know, it can be that prosecutors or ICE officers are very busy. It may take 60 to 90 days. Just follow up with them after 60 days. Hi Furad, hi Saima, hi Salim, hi Ref Shabazz, hi Sahil, hi Tahir, hi Angie, hi Gloria. Thank you for the topic expedite request. My daughter is waiting for her I-45 petition concurrent filing I-130. Oh, you're welcome. By the way, if your case is beyond processing times, but I have to tell you, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in Texas Service Center, the I-45 for green card application processing times currently are 36 or 39 months. That was what is published on USCIS website, all right, if I'm not mistaken, and I think I checked it a couple of days ago. So some of those processing times increased dramatically. But here is a tip, by the way, what to do with cases that are being pending for like forever, feels forever. USCIS Ombudsman, guys. USCIS Ombudsman's office is like a middleman who is making inquiries on cases and may help you to receive that interview notice or an update from a case on a case when USCIS does not provide you any. Hi Zishant. Hi Shabazz. Hi Afzar. Hi Meji. How long to wait when you petition a 21-year-old daughter? I'm a US citizen mom. You're a US citizen mom. Your daughter is 21 years old and older, right? So she falls into an adult group. If she is not married, there is one line. If she is married, there is a different line. But I would say the fastest it will be about 6 years. It also depends on your country, by the way. But the fastest it will be about 6.5 years. And if she's married, it's going to be longer, perhaps 8.5, 9. You can always check visa bulletin. And of course, these numbers are not, for example, like for the Philippines, because people from the Philippines, unfortunately, have to wait for decades. It's like really crazy. But if it's none of those countries with super long times, it's going to be 6 to 8.5 about years. Yeah, it still takes a long time. Sometimes, by the way, you can save the priority date if she falls under certain exceptions. So, it depends on the situation. Hi Kennedy, if an asylum case is referred to court by an immigration officer with no reasons, can write USCIS requesting an explanation, or the case is out of their hands and raise those issues at master hearing. It's very rare that they do not specify reasons. The usual reasons are going to be specified at the referral notice that you're going to receive from the asylum office. They always attach that, so you have to review your mail that you received from them. It's going to say why. If you don't agree with those reasons, usually you're going to address them with the prosecutor. Your lawyer is going to address them with the prosecutor at the hearing, but it's going to be a very different way. And there is technically an opportunity to file a motion to reopen, but what happens is that it's saved for very specific situations. All right. For regular denial or referral, they say it's not a denial. I mean, it kind of is. They refer you to deportation or removal proceedings. Usually, if you disagree with those reasons, let's say they say your case is referred because there were material inconsistencies in your statements, right? That will be addressed at the trial, usually. Yes. Hi, Lutfal. Good morning, Arabian time. How are you? I'm all right. We need your support for citizenship visa, experience, sale marketing. Oh, okay, I see. All right, so what happens with the immigrant visas, guys, especially if you are trying to immigrate to the United States based on employment and your professional qualifications? A lawyer cannot sponsor you. We only can provide services, let's say for your prospective employer to file a petition to sponsor you. And to find an employer, you have to contact them directly, all right? I think it's an important question because I see a lot of those inquiries. But lawyers, guys, cannot. If you see any lawyer or somebody who says they're providing legal services and they can sponsor you, that's not what's happening. Lawyers in America cannot file petitions to sponsor anybody on their own behalf. We only can assist employers to do that. Hi Elvis, how long should one wait for traveling documents? Are you referring for any document that you are trying to receive after you submitted Form I-131? So in that situation, it depends. If it was not an emergency application, it can take 4, 6, sometimes even longer to receive those documents. Hi Sunshine, my medical is already in. Do I still have to do COVID vaccine? That's an excellent question. if your medical exam will be valid at the time when USCIS is making their determination on your adjustment of status application, they should accept it. But if they say that for whatever reason it's not valid, maybe the doctor didn't sign it correctly, maybe it expired, then you will have to. Because after October 1st, 2021, everyone who needs to submit their medical exam will have to also present proof of full vaccination, not just the first dose, 2 doses of vaccines. Okay? Hi, Mohammed. Thank you very much for stars. Thank you. Hi, Adnan. Hi, Shamshir. I'm in and you got cut off. You got cut off. Let me see if we have more questions. Hi, Saeed. Any update about essential workers? And I haven't received my work permit yet. It's expired on August 19th, 2021. Not any specific information about essential workers yet, guys, because as I said, we're waiting for the next week. But hopefully next week, so stay tuned and follow my page, we will receive some more specific information as to who's going to be essential worker, if essential workers are going to qualify for the reform, and so on and so forth, right? But the expired work permit, again, if you submitted an extension of your work permit, request for an extension of your work permit, prior to the expiration of your current work permit, you're, in many cases, not in all cases, but in many cases, you're going to receive an automatic 180 days extension of your work permit. So technically, it's not going to expire until, well, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, right? Until February 19th, right? If you are, for example, applying for C8 or C9 work permits, right? Those are most common ones. If you are a DACA holder and you filed for an extension, that rule does not cover you, unfortunately. Hi, Wolfus. I received an RFE from USCIS, but they didn't mention anything to submit. What do you think I have to do? This is crazy. You have to no, they have to tell you what you need to submit. So you should show it to an attorney. And if it's in fact an empty RFE, you guys will have to contact USCIS and ask them what is it that they want, okay? Because you don't want to be in a situation where they're going to deny your case saying you didn't respond to requests for more evidence when you didn't receive anything meaningful. You don't know what to submit, right? So it can be a medical exam they're looking for. It can be a copy of your birth certificate. Read it carefully. Show it to an attorney. But it's very, very strange. Maybe it's like a typo they sent or something. They forgot to put in what they want from you. All right, let me see. Hi, Ashley. Can you get an info pass with USCIS when you are on the deportation proceedings, when you're waiting on an immigration judge to review a case? When you are submitting Form I-131, it says that it cannot be given to you when you are in deportation proceedings. At the same time, I know that there are people who can travel depending on their particular situation. So I would suggest that you discuss a specific situation with your attorney, all right? But usually in like 99% of cases, people who are in removal proceedings cannot travel, all right? Cannot travel. Hi, Talwinda. Is the police report needed for VAWA? Yes. When you're filing your VAWA application, you have to prove that you've been a person of good moral character for the past 3 years. And you will have to present police reports. Oh, your fingerprints. But if you're referring to, if you have to present proof of you being a victim, right? And you reported somebody, then it's good to have a police report that somebody was abusive to you to the point that you had to call police on them. But no, you do not have to, all right? Because the police reports for our cases may be used in 2 different ways. One way is to show that you don't have any criminal convictions. You don't have any criminal convictions, right? And another way is to prove that someone was abusive to you. Then if it's a second way, it's desirable to have it, but if you don't have it, it's not going to be a denial of your BAWA case, as long as you have other credible evidence. Okay. All right. Hi, George. Why do I not speak Russian? Because absolute majority of people who are watching me, they do not speak Russian. But I do speak Russian during the private consultations if you guys would like to have one, absolutely. Well, guys, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for all your nice words and encouragement. It really, really helps me. You know, it's not easy to put those videos together and find time to do it regularly, but I'm very happy I have such loyal followers. And again, please like, share this video, follow my page, because hopefully next week we're going to have some good news about immigration reform. And of course, if we do receive them, I will be sharing them as soon as I get them. So don't forget to come back to the page and check as to what's going on. Again, thank you very much. It was a pleasure, and I hope to see you soon.